Okay. Hey, this is Tom Cox with Illinois Department of Transportation, District 6, Program Development. I actually work in Studies and Plans. Our team would like to present the submittal for the IDOT's Innovation Contest. The team consists of myself, Viraj Perera. He works over in BDE now, but when we developed the system, he was with District 6, one of our project engineers, Wavering, and our Studies and Plans engineer, Sal Madonia. And so this is what our application looks like. We developed a GIS online application to help us track our construction projects, the development of those construction projects. But before we get into looking at the details of this system, if I could, let me just jump to a quick PowerPoint and just use a couple of the slides I used at the National Conference earlier this year. First, I'd just like to talk a little bit about communication. There's just and really that's what our application is. It's another form of communication, but I want to talk about communication first just because it's so important. And even though there's so many different ways that we can communicate these days, having the right form of communication is so important, I feel, anyway. And like I said, I just believe that communication's the key to success. I don't care if we're talking about sports, military, in the office, or even as we're building our construction projects. Communication, always the number one factor in success. That's completely clear to me. And so we worked with the GIS online platform to help communicate with our coworkers. Now, like I said, we are from program development within District 6. And so what we're looking to do is make sure projects meet their letting date. And so there's a lot of people involved here. It takes a lot of good communication. You can see here that the designer that's putting the project together does not do that alone. They've got many, many support people to help them out with that, and it takes very good communication, and really what you need is up-to-date information. And I could get into a longer description of what this check sheet is. That is the name of our application that we're submitting. Really, the check sheet, I'm not going to read the whole thing, just the beginning. The check sheet is a database that uses the GIS online platform to track the status of future construction projects throughout the district. And we'll get into a little bit more detail on that, show you pictures instead of a bunch of words. But generally speaking, the district at any one time has about 240 projects they're working on, with many pieces of information, really probably about 100 pieces of information for each project, and every one of those items needs to be done in a timely fashion and needs to be communicated to everybody else. So you end up talking about really a lot of information. I never thought about it this way before, but if you've got 240 projects and 100 pieces of information, that's a whole lot of communication going on. So I'm going to show you in this very simplistic form what we use to communicate all that information. And why is this so important? Well, it's important because we want to, we've committed to the public on our MYP, making sure that we make those letting dates, that we make really our commitments that we've made to the public. So we must prioritize, and we must all be on the same page to meet those letting dates. And so we're actually going to jump right into the GIS online platform, but this is the general platform that this newer technology that was made available a couple years ago that we decided to use. But GIS is a very, very simple concept. Sometimes we don't even like saying GIS because that scares a few people off. But really, if you can use Google Maps, you can use the system that we developed. But really, all we're doing with, in this case, very simplistically with GIS, we're attaching some project information to the location of that project on a map. And GIS has been around a long time. but that was more of a desktop type product, and really there was only a handful of people that were using it. Then came along this web GIS. Really, I'm sure a lot of you use iRoads or iHis, many of these tools that took developers to create. They're awesome systems, and it's great that they're available to everybody, but that took a lot of time to develop those systems. So really, what I want to talk about is this new form of GIS, GIS Online. It really allows most anybody to be able to create using these what we call out-of-the-box tools to create these GIS online layers. And we can get an account to really any IDOT employee and be able to push out this information to them. You don't necessarily even have to set up your own system. There's many, many layers out there already available to you. And so really, you can just open up the map, zoom in, click on the item, and get the information. And if you want to see it in a more traditional way, see the project information, of course, you can still generate reports like this for each one of your projects. You can see there's many items for each of these projects that we're tracking. The beauty of this is that you don't have access just at your desk. You can, any device. Being this system's cloud-based, you can use your phone, an iPad, a desktop computer, laptop, anything, anywhere, no problem. You can access this information. And really, as a result of developing this system for tracking projects, really a lot has come about from it. We've come up with many, many other layers in the district, but for this particular application, I'm just submitting really our check sheet application, but a lot of other applications came about of this, such as survey monument layer, our use of this collector app, which uses GIS Online. Again, it's communication. It allows our operations people to communicate problem areas in the field and make everybody aware of those problems. So many of these other uses came about from the creation of this check sheet. There's many benefits of using this technology. I won't go into every one of them right now. And just all these new ideas just keep coming up. Our most recent one is we're now tracking public comments, regardless of how the public communicates their problem to us, whether it be email, phone, any way, that we are now using GIS Online to track those comments to make sure that everybody's aware of the public comments and that we take action if necessary on those particular comments, whether it be from the general public or other legislators, or it could really come from, the comments could come from anyone. And ultimately, GIS, this format, GIS provides valuable information to allow us to make good decisions. That's really what